Welcome back inside the film room. I'm Zach Goins, and today I'm joined by Billy Harris. You know him as Colin Hughes on Ted Lasso, the Emmy-winning comedy from Apple TV Plus. Billy, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, yeah, thank you for having me. Yeah, no, it's good. It's good to be
I,
here.
I'm thrilled to chat with you. It's been 3 seasons and we've never gotten to connect. We've always been crossing paths. We follow each other on Twitter, but this is the first time we're sitting down. So
Yeah, you're right. I have always seen your face with Phil, your face with Tahib, your face with Chris, and then we've just never, we've never got it, we never
well,
got to talk, but here we are.
hopefully they've talked me up that it made you look forward to this because I'm
Oh
excited.
yeah, no, they all know who you are. They all speak highly of you.
Well, what a season for you, for Colin. Obviously, we season three's in the books. We've wrapped it up, and this was the season of Colin Hughes. I feel like each year there's been a character outside of that the Ted, the Rebecca, the main core that has kind of made a jump. I feel like in season one, a lot of people were breaking out. In season
Yeah,
two, we had Sam was making a big jump,
yeah,
Danny was making a big jump, and then this time around it was Colin. I was so thrilled to see that because you had been sort of progressing, giving hints at what could be happening here. But at what point did you know during the production process that okay, this is my turn to make the jump?
yeah. Of course. So yeah, I knew about this storyline in season two, but we weren't going to tackle it until season three. And yeah, you're right. Ted Lasso, the writers, they have a real ability to give people their moments. And, I think that with that, me knowing that I was going to go into season three and have a lot of work to do, there was that and the responsibility of that. But then I think that it was also highlighting on Colin and how you thought from season one that you have seen the real Colin, but you really haven't. So you've been with
Right.
this character for such a long time. And I think that's the most sort of heartbreaking thing about it. And that's why, some people, some fans were really shocked or they didn't see the signs or hear the grinder line, the grinder reference in season
Yeah.
two. Some people were, the light bulb ding, they were like, okay, cool, that hopefully they tackle it. And then that was definitely what I knew was going to happen in season three, which was brilliant.
Well, I'm sure there's some large population that doesn't even know what grinder is. So like you said, that probably
Yeah,
went way over
straight
their
over their
head.
head. Yeah,
But
yeah,
I remember hearing that in season two and being like, okay, we're doing it. Thank goodness.
yeah,
But
yeah, no,
if
yeah.
you learned in season two, that that's where Colin was headed, I'm curious at that point, throughout season one, you've built up this character. We may not see it on the screen, but you, as you're developing the character, have like, okay, Colin is this, Colin is that. This is his backstory. So when you found out that we were going this route, that Colin was gay, were you able to how did that adjust, I guess, your mindset of Colin and the character that you had created? How much did you have to change?
Yeah, I think that I don't think I had to change that much because it was once I found out about it, it was like, okay, cool. I just had to realize that Colin, throughout all of the things he was doing in season one and season two, he had something buried in him, which I didn't know about. So it was it was a case of he's still in season three, the way that we were sort of navigating it was that he still had that buried. But the one thing that I had going for me in terms of the character in terms of season two was that he was going to therapy. So I just think that whatever was being told, whatever was being spoken about with Colin and Dr. Sharon, I knew that I hoped that he was trying to find his voice and try and find something in him that meant that he was going to be eventually one day comfortable enough to tell the team. But it had to come from him, and it had to be on his own terms.
Right.
So yeah, I was just because obviously I'm sure that the other actors on the show have told you that we get the episodes almost weekly, or sort of we're filming episode three and then we don't get episode four. So I'm really in it with the fans as well. So
Right.
I get that script and I'm reading and I go, Colin, okay, what's happening now? What's happening now? And then I'm just reacting off of his life really then and there. And it's a really cool process.
Well, it's funny that you say that about like the week to week because as fans, we're watching it. We get this big reveal in episode three that finally confirms we see you with Michael, the wake up and the after party
Yeah.
from Ola's. And then we don't get that. It's like, okay, this is great. We're doing it. And then wait a minute. Not until episode six that we finally circle back to it, which Sunflowers is probably my favorite episode of the whole series, and for a lot of reasons, there's a ton of great stuff going on. But at the core, I feel like you and James Lance, the Colin and Trent Crimm night out, and this
Yeah,
coming out, the relationship that is built here, it's just brilliant stuff and so
yeah.
emotionally moving.
And
Just
you know, I think that as the fans, they know that Ted Lasso will tackle one thing in an episode, and then the next couple of episodes they'll have other things to tackle. There's so many people in there. There's Keely's story, there's Rebecca's, there's Brett's, there's Phil's, there's everyone. So you know, but they always come back to it, and that was that was the thing. So it was like episode 3, episode 6, and episode 9 for Colin. That was
right,
his kind of like trajectory almost. Yeah, and episode 6 was just not just for Colin, that was for everyone. It was a real, wasn't necessarily linked to football as much. It was like go out into Amsterdam and have a good night. Or Colin that night did not know how that was going to go down. He wanted to leave. He wanted to go to a gay bar to experience that for himself. And then he bumped into Trent Crimm, and then that is just that ignites a whole beautiful friendship and an ally for Colin in AFC Richmond, which was so good. And then that gave him confidence. I think that it was only for the best,
right.
really.
Well, I know obviously this show has got 11 Emmy wins at this point, and I feel like there's some nominations coming in the future from that episode alone because, like I said, my goodness, you and James together. I know we hadn't really seen much of. I don't know if we'd ever seen Colin and Trent Crimm really directly interact in season 1 or season 2, and so for you two as actors, not the characters, what was that relationship like prior to this season where you really kind of take off halfway through? Were you comfortable with each other, or was it sort of like
Oh,
we never
yeah. I
really
mean,
crossed paths?
oh, yeah, of course. And he was one of the people that I was probably a little bit starstruck about because I'd seen a lot of his stuff. He was in a show called I'm Alan Partridge, which was over in the UK. And that was a big show for me when I wanted to start being an actor. And I really wanted to work with him. He was one of the people that I was like, wow, season 1, I'm in the same cast as James Lance. And then as the time went on, he's just my friend now. And we've actually really worked closely together. So that was a bit daunting. I was working with a really, really seasoned actor that's done so much stuff. But I laugh at that. I laugh about that now because me and him are so close, because the
Right.
story of Trent and Colin has gotten Jimmy and Billy really, really close together. And that's what's great about this show, is because you kind of just go through it and the cast is so big. And some people, yeah, you don't work with than others, but then you never know. Then that's what I said. So like with me and Collar, like that was really great. Then me and obviously Nick, I have a lot of storyline with him in season
Right.
2 and all that. So it's just so good when they take the boys out of the locker room and then put them into, like with Jeremy and Charlie Hiscock's storyline in Amsterdam.
Yeah, that's a
It's two
blast.
little worlds that collide that you never thought was going to happen. And that was what was great about episode 6.
It's amazing, but the finale is amazing as well. And I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie, I was able to keep it together for pretty much all of it. And then when you get to kiss your fella on the field, that's when the
Yes.
waterworks started. I was like, this is the perfect way to bring that story full circle. And I'm curious, we don't know if there's gonna be more, so who knows? But in your head, I guess, now that we heard Colin say, like, I don't want to be a spokesperson, I don't want to be the gay player, but you're obviously having that kiss. What's next for him, do you think? What would be your happy ending as he's moving forward?
Yeah, I think that if there is another season, that is something that's the first thought in my mind, is that he did that on the football field. So people would have seen it. Cameras would have been
Right.
on the boys celebrating. So um, that is a thought that if there is another season, he will have to to tackle that. And that's really interesting. I don't know how. He said he doesn't want to be a spokesperson, but that would be something that he would have to go into potentially. And if there is another season, that would be really excited
I I
to be
think
in.
the only way that could have been made even better for me would have been if we saw you leaving the stadium in the Lambo and driving
Yeah.
perfectly, because I love that.
Oh,
I thought
I
that's what
don't.
we were
I
finally going to get when you peeled off in the start of this third episode, but we still have you
Yeah,
stutter, because I was like, he's out now. And so this is like a symbolic gesture that he's comfortable and owning himself. But
that is a brilliant idea, but I don't think Colin can ever drive perfectly.
now that he's out and comfortable, maybe comfort for him is, getting like a Honda Civic or something instead of
Yeah, or just getting on a bus with Michael, you
just
know,
walking, Ubering somewhere.
just you being really, really happy, but using public transport.
I love that. Well, this is obviously a huge story. Lasso has never shied away from like real world stuff, and we've seen it throughout the seasons with the Dubai Air protest that Sam had, or even Sam with the shut up and dribble this year.
Yeah.
But this is obviously something that is very, unfortunately, still taboo in professional soccer. There's not a ton of out players. So even though this is not a real team, you're not a real soccer player. What sort of responsibility? I'm sure there was knowing the impact that this show has, that you guys were not taking this lightly by any means when you're approaching this story.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, as you said, first and foremost, like I'm an actor. I was on a set of people that were so supportive about this storyline and really championed it. For athletes out there, I think it's only a small group of fans. I think majority of the fans would be welcoming and they would accept an out gay footballer, but that's something that I just to just do this storyline is something that basically I think Ted Lasso for so many storylines is just that all we can say is that we're here for you, and we just want to give something, a small part of that will hopefully aid and help for future athletes going through something. I know that from my DMs and everything like that, that people say that they wish that they would have had this when they
Right,
or watched this when
absolutely.
they were younger. There was a teacher that messaged me the other day and said that one of their students was struggling with the feeling of being bisexual, but loving football, and that was the exact words that they said to them. But then the teacher was like, they referenced my character to the young child, and I just thought that was so amazing. So this is just something that we've given to the world in the hopes that there can be change.
Absolutely. This is one of the reasons I love Lasso so much, is that it's, a sitcom, a silly show about a football coach, but then at the same time, it's literally changing lives out here, giving people hope and something to believe in. So I'm so glad that you got to be such a essential part of that this season. But you mentioned the therapy earlier that you had in season 2 with Doc Sharon. And Doc Sharon not in this season a lot. We get her a little bit at the beginning, a little bit at the end. But in the world of the show, is there an answer, or is Colin still in communication with Doc Sharon? Are they doing these FaceTime calls like we see Ted a little bit, or is he, ready to close that chapter now that he's got Trent Crimm as a new sort of confidant within AFC Richmond?
Yeah, I'd love to think so. I think with therapy, it's a process, isn't it? So you kind of, although you think that you've completed one chapter of your therapy, I think that you kind of still have to keep doing the work. So I would like to think that this is the thing. I have so many thoughts and feelings about a Colin, spin off with all of it would just be me just doing a monologue, just talking about, oh, Colin's gone to therapy, Colin's got better at driving, Colin's still with Michael. I have all of these thoughts, the same as you. So yeah, I would love to. I believe that Sharon still is
And
his.
especially now that we see her coming back at the end of the finale, that she's full time at Richmond, so I'm sure
Yeah,
they're back together.
there
So
has to be. There needs to be some scenes with Colin and Sharon, definitely, because it was a lot was unsaid, but he was in there, and that changed him. That really did change him to feel that he could have the courage to speak to the boys at AFC Richmond.
well, you mentioned the spinoff, so I have to ask, in an ideal world, if Billy Harris is the writer, what does the Ted Lasso spinoff for Colin look like?
It is. It's not in the football season. It's basically out of football season, and it is Colin Hughes and Trent Crimm doing Colin not driving, but Trent Crimm driving around Europe, and they're basically traveling from Italy to France to Germany, and they're just doing a Euro trip basically.
It sounds like
And
you just want to have a free vacation with James. Is that right?
I want to have a free vacation with James, going to some beautiful places, going to Paris, going to Rome. But I feel like Trent is really, really well traveled. So I just think that he would be like, "Come on, let's go together. Let's go and let's hit the gay bars in Rome, hit them in Paris, hit them in Berlin." And yeah, people would want to see that. That would be
Yeah, I
brilliant.
mean, Trent, I could listen to Trent Crimm talk about anything. He seems to know everything, so I'm totally down to that.
Yeah,
Like a
yeah.
little travel show with you two. That would be
A little travel show, yeah.
well, as you know, spinoffs may be coming, other seasons might be coming, but what we have is 3 seasons of this amazing show. As you look back, what is there? Is there a specific episode, scene, moment that really stands out to you as just an all-time favorite? I imagine Sunflowers has to be up there.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, I was very nervous about episode 3 coming out because it was the opening where you see Colin in bed, and
Mhm.
that was a moment for me because that was the start of the storyline, really, and that was a really great time just to see Colin for the first time out of the locker room and not just in football mode and with the guys, and it was just him with Michael. And yeah, I always think back at that scene, and I just think that was such a special moment for him, and then for the rest of the journey with all of the fans that were just always in Colin's corner. Even from the grinder line, there's been so many people on Twitter that were just there from that moment. They were like, cool, we're gonna stand Colin.
This is our guy.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I love that. Billy, thank you so much for everything you've done for this show, for coming on and doing this interview. I'm excited to follow the future of Lasso throughout awards season, follow you, and see what's next. So thank you so much.
Great, thank you. Great to finally talk.
Of course.